it's a new year, new vlog, new stuff.
Big dog status, I'm a big dog vet. I pull up on the block in a big Corvette.
We already went for a ride this morning. We took the Beamer up to Eurocycles. Just went for a ride this morning. It's a beautiful morning, so we decided to go for a little bit of a ride. But today, since it's a new year, it's 2022, I want to talk about New Year's resolutions and why I do not ever set them. I do something a little bit different. We'll talk about that today. I'm gonna go for a ride on the Grom because it seems like a good day for that. And if you're following along with the Grom, we just did a burnout with it. If you didn't see the video, check the last video. We actually blew the tire off of it. We got some new Michelin Pure Powers. I think that's what they're called, Pure Powers. Great little tire for the Grom, 150 bucks for both of them, delivered to my front door. You can't go wrong with that. Doing some additional stuff here shortly. We're gonna do the oil pump upgrade. That way, if I ever learn how to do wheelies, I'm not gonna burn up the engine. And also we're gonna put the tougher springs, or like a thicker spring, in the actual clutch with the clutch plate. That way I can pop it up a little bit easier in second gear. Anyway, let's jump into this. Welcome to 2022, where all of your dreams can come true. If you want them to. We just hit 3,000 miles. We've got all the stuff for an oil change and a clutch upgrade. What else we got? We've got the upgraded oil pump coming. It's not quite here yet. Apparently, they are made to order and they're like 6 weeks out. So we're gonna be waiting for a little bit. But 2022 finally arriving, which seems like, I don't know, it seems weird. I feel like 2019, 2020, 2021 was just a big blur. But yeah, here we are, 2022. As with every new year, you see the same posts all the time about people doing this and that, setting these things as their New Year's resolution of either quitting smoking or going to the gym or whatever the case is. But I don't really buy into that whole thing. I don't really do the whole New Year's resolution thing. Every time I'm on the Grom in traffic, I feel like I don't belong here. It's just like a weird feeling. I feel like I'm riding like a bicycle. I feel like a kid on a bicycle riding in traffic, and everyone's just like looking at me like, what the hell are you doing, kid? And just because I don't do New Year's resolutions doesn't mean that I just sit stagnant, you know? I think that having something in place to better yourself is a good thing, but I just feel like there's a better way to go about it, and that's basically what I do, and I'm just gonna share that with you today. So it's actually funny that I've lived this way for a while now, kind of had this mindset, and then I actually saw a post talking about one of the quotes that Elon Musk put out there, and basically all he said was, if you give yourself 30 days to clean your home, it'll take you 30 days. But if you give yourself 3 hours, it will take 3 hours. The same applies to your goals, ambitions, and potential. So this is why I love this Grom, because I'm kind of like stuck in traffic down at the beach, but I don't really care because I'm still comfortable. If I was on the S1000 right now, I'd probably be a little upset. That thing's awesome. I would love to have something like that. If I was gonna get rid of my truck, it would have to be something like that. I couldn't do a sports car, but I could definitely do a supercharged Grand Cherokee. So back in the day, I used to set New Year's resolutions for myself, as does everybody or most people. You know, new year, you figure you might as well get something else accomplished this year. And the issue with that is that we just give ourselves way too much time to accomplish that goal. So before you know it, it's February and you still haven't started yet, but you're like, I'm fine because I still got, like, you know, the rest of the year to take care of that. The issue with that is that before you know it, December's here and you still haven't done it, and you probably, just like most people, you end up taking that particular New Year's resolution and you slide it into the next year, and before you know it, a decade's passed and you have not bettered yourself at all. So to avoid self-letdown and disappointment, I have personally put into place a different way of doing things, and hopefully maybe you can find some value in that and try it out this year as well and see what kind of progress you get. I would love to take that bike path right now. There's some little jumps in there. Pretty sure I could go to jail for that. I don't know. So the first thing that I do every year is and sometimes it's not even yearly for me. I might do this quarterly, just kind of depending on how the year's going. But I like to start the year off with a mood board, which I know it sounds a little Might sound a little weird, but yeah, just kind of a vision board. We'll call it a vision board, not so much a mood board, but a vision board. I'm a big fan of the thought and the ability to manifest things, and the first thing to manifesting anything is you got to make it somewhat real. So that's whether, you know, if you want a BMW, you want an S1000 RR, you gotta somehow make that a reality, and you gotta get it out of your head. You gotta put it on pen and paper. You gotta write it onto a list and say, I will own a BMW S1000 RR. Or you put it on your vision board, like I did actually. I actually did this a couple months before I actually got the S1000. I put together a vision board of the different things that I wanted to accomplish or get. That way you could visually see what my future looks like. And this vision board doesn't have to be anything fancy. It can be done in Microsoft Paint. It can be done with scissors and magazines and some glue. It does not matter. But what does matter is that you put things on there that you actually want to achieve. Things that you know, kind of put your future self on paper. That way you can visually see it. And it's also important to have this as a tangible item. Do not just make a photo on your computer and then save it to a folder you'll never look at again. Make sure that this is printed off and put someplace where you will see it daily. For me, I put it next to the monitor, my work monitor, that I do all my video editing and all of my photo editing. I put it right next to there so that I'm reminded daily of what I'm trying to achieve. Then we get into the other important factors of the whole manifestation thing. But it's not really manifestation, it's just putting a game plan together. And I think that's where a lot of people fail when it comes to their New Year's resolutions. And that's because they make these giant goals with zero plan to get to said goal. You know, if you wanted to own a Ferrari, you could put that on your list of things that you want to do, but how are you going to get there? The average person, it is extremely hard to just go write a check for a Ferrari. There's got to be a game plan. There's steps that lead up to owning that Ferrari. The Ferrari is the audacious goal, but it's important to put a game plan together and actually put it on paper of how you're going to do this too. Don't just say that you're going to play the Powerball and then hope that you get it someday. It doesn't work that way. So what I do personally, and I kind of do this on a quarterly basis. Some of them take a little bit longer, but what I do is on paper or on like a notepad on your computer or whatever, you put together like 3 things that you really want to achieve in the upcoming year or 90 days or whatever the case is. But when I put something onto my board, I also schedule it, meaning that I want it completed by this date. For instance, if I'm working on like work stuff, right? I've got a goal where I want 3 new clients. 3 new clients would be great. I have to make that an actual like thing, right? So I'll put 3 new clients on the top of the paper, and then I will put together a list of actionable items that I can do to obtain the 3 extra clients. So then I will sit there and I'll think about 3 to 4 different things that I could do that aren't big goals. They're just actionable things that will help me get to those 3 additional clients. So one of those items could be just to create a new price sheet. That way a new potential client can see what I offer and what my rates are. Another actionable item could be to post more on Facebook, on my Facebook business page. That's one thing that I'm slacking, and if I was to put more things out there, I could probably attract more clients. So that would be another actionable item. And then a third action item could be something like cold calling or going to different businesses and talking to them and seeing what their needs are and hoping to land a client. Now this is kind of just a small sample. This could be, you know, your goals could be a million different things. It could be to buy a new bike. So for instance, if you want to buy a new bike, that's your goal. Like that's your goal, right? And so put a date on it. I want to buy a new bike by March 30th. Okay, so now you've made it real. Now, what are the action items needed to actually get that bike by March 30th? Everybody's situations are different, which means that everybody's action items are going to be a little bit different. For instance, somebody might need to save up some money for a down payment still. And so one of those action items could be put $50 away weekly. That way I can put a down payment on a bike by March 30th. So there, you've made a goal, and your first action item is to put $50 away. That way you can put down a down payment. Now there might be other things that are keeping you away from achieving your goal that you need to take care of. You gotta be real with yourself too. You know, maybe you've got some stuff laying around the house that you need to sell, or maybe you have another bike that you have to sell, or I don't know, you might have something that you just need to unload before you can go buy something else. That could be another action item. So for instance, I got this boat sitting in my yard I never use, but I'd rather have a motorcycle. So action item number 2, I need to sell that boat so that I can buy the bike. That place looks nice and lit up. But a lot of times what I'll do with these action items is I'll give myself like 7 to 14 days to kind of take care of those things, or at least get started on them. But if you don't put down like a time and make some accountability for yourself, you're never going to do it. That's just the planet. Some people can, but for the majority of the population, you are going to have to put deadlines on things. You're going to have to make sure that you're actually doing what it takes to get to your goal. If you want it bad enough, maybe a goal, if you're not willing to do like small steps, in my opinion, you just don't want it bad enough. It's just that simple. So yeah, there's just these little things that you can do to help you become more productive throughout the year. And that's why I don't do the New Year's resolution thing. Again, if you don't put a date on something, it's just not gonna happen. You have to physically write out what you want, and then you have to put goals, and then you have to put action items in place in order to get that. I promise you, if you try this, you'll be impressed with how much you actually get done. But in my opinion, New Year's resolutions are just a thing of the past. I think they're kind of ridiculous, honestly, because nobody does them. It's just a feel-good thing. That way when January 1 rolls around, you feel like, okay, this is my year. But that's the thing, is it's not going to be if you don't put some action items in place. Otherwise you're just going to end up in the same exact spot that you're at on December whatever 31st. Nothing's going to change. And the other bad thing about New Year's resolutions is that they're too broad. You know, like people, you know, I want to go to the gym, or I want to get a new car, or whatever the case is. There's just very broad New Year's resolutions, which is fine in a sense, but you need to be more specific with what you want. You know, like, I want to go to the gym and lose 30 pounds, or I want to go to the gym and put on 30 pounds, or I want to buy a new Honda Civic, or I want to buy a new Hyundai Elantra, whatever floats your boat. But the point is, you have to be specific with what it is that you want, or else the universe won't know what you want. I'm not trying to be all spiritual and hocus pocusy, but it's true, you know. We attract the energies that we put out there. I'm a firm believer in that, just because I do that myself. I manifest things all the time. If I want something, I get it, to a certain extent. But you get what I'm saying. To do something a little bit fun, if you guys want to participate, put a goal down in the comments, and maybe even put some action items in there. That way in a year, this time next year, we can kind of circle back and, you know, see where you got with it. I'm telling you, it's all about accountability. It doesn't matter what your goals are. It doesn't, you know, I think it's great to have big goals, but make sure that everything's achievable. The big goal is big. It's hard to achieve, but those action items are easily achievable. Just make sure that you've got goals set, and then action items that are easily obtainable. Jumping 10 feet today is not that easy, but action items as far as stretching, that's easy. Jump a foot off the ground, that's easy. You keep increasing, you keep getting better, and you just, eventually you're gonna jump 10 feet. That's just the way it works. So yeah, if you want to make some changes in the new year, this is just a little bit of advice just to possibly make that happen for you. Make it easy for yourself. People like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and all the, you know, they had these ideas, but they didn't just make shit happen overnight. You know, they make these little tiny goals, or these little tiny action items that got them to where they are today. It takes time. But anyway, that's my little life advice, and until next time.
Big dog status, I'm a big dog vet. I pull up on the block in a big Corvette.